Pastor Ed here with Daily Devotions for Thursday, March the 23rd, 2023. Been talking this week about the parable of the talents, where the man goes away and he leaves his possessions, really money, basically everything he's got in the hands of three of his slaves. Two of them actually multiply what he's given them. The other one just kind of hides it, and of course, that's not really what the master wanted him to do. So we're talking about, what are we going to do with what we receive from God? How are we supposed to conduct? What does it mean to be God's people? Chuck Swindoll once told a story that goes like this. He said, let's pretend. Let's pretend that you work for me. In fact, you're my executive assistant in a company that's growing rapidly. I'm the owner and I'm interested in expanding overseas. To pull this off, I make plans to travel abroad and stay there until a new branch office gets established. I make all the arrangements to take my family and move to Europe for 6 to 8 months. And I leave you in charge of the busy stateside organization. I tell you that I will write you regularly and give you directions and instructions. I leave and you stay. Months pass. Flow of letters are mailed from Europe and received by you at the national headquarters. Spell out all my expectations. Finally, I return. And soon after my arrival, I drive down to the office, and I'm stunned. Grass and weeds have grown up high. A few windows along the street are broken. I walk into the receptionist's room. She's doing her nails, chewing gum, and listening to her favorite radio station. I look around and notice the wastebaskets are overflowing. Carpet hasn't been vacuumed in weeks. Nobody seems concerned that the owner has returned. I asked about your whereabouts, and someone in the crowded lounge area points down the hall and yells, "I think he's down there." Disturbed, I move in that direction and bump into you as you're finishing a chess game with our sales manager. I ask you to step into my office, which has been temporarily turned into a television room for watching afternoon soap operas. "What in the world's going on, man?" I ask. "Well, what do you mean?" "Well, look at this place. Didn't you get all my letters?" "Letters? Oh, yes, sure. I got every one of them. As a matter of fact, we have a letter study every Saturday since you left. We've even divided the personnel into small groups to discuss many of the things that you wrote about. Some of the things were really interesting. You'll be pleased to know that a few of us have actually committed to memory some of your sentences and paragraphs. One or two even memorize an entire letter or two. Great stuff in those letters." "Okay, you got my letters. You studied and meditated on them, discussed and even memorized them. But what did you do about them?" "Do?" he said. "We didn't do anything about them." What is it that we're called to do as Christians? Obviously, it's a story that kind of makes fun of the fact that, we go to church once a week, and maybe we even studied the Bible and memorized parts of it and have small groups to discuss it. But if we don't carry out the imperatives, the mission, the expectations that's in Scripture, then we're kind of really missing the boat, aren't we? And so in the parable of the talents, the idea is that you're supposed to do something while the master's away. You're supposed to be productive. You're supposed to be working on the things, the master's business, if you will. In contrast to that story, here's another one that kind of has a positive turn to it. Missionary was seated on a plane next to a well-dressed young man, and they soon began conversing. And the missionary asked him what he did for a living, and the young man said, "Well, I'm in a big business." "So am I," replied the missionary. Well, with that, the young man remarked, "I cover the entire U.S. with my business." "Well," said the missionary, "I travel all over the world in connection with mine." And the young man continued, "I'm in partnership with my father. He's a millionaire." The missionary smiled and said, "I too am in partnership with my father, and you can't even begin to estimate what he's worth." The young man said, "Well, we have representatives in most states." And the missionary replied, "We have representatives in almost every country in the world." And by this time, the young man looked at the missionary and said, "Well, what sort of business are you in anyway?" When the missionary explained that he was a missionary of the church, the young man said, "Sir, you're not just in big business. You're in the biggest business." we're in the biggest business, and we should be faithful to our calling. More about that tomorrow, especially the risk involved. With that, I'll let you hold on onto that thought, and we'll see you tomorrow. Until then, take care. Bye.